My dear friends, life is a strange journey. Sometimes it feels like we're walking through a beautiful garden, and sometimes it feels like we are dragging our feet through a desert. And in those desert moments, the thought comes, maybe I should just quit. Maybe this path is not for me. But let me remind you, don't lose hope. You might be just one step away. Think of the miner who digs a tunnel for years in search of diamonds. He works hard, sweats, sacrifices, and then one day, just inches before reaching the treasure, he gives up. Someone else comes, picks up where he left, and finds the diamonds. The truth is, we often quit too early. What if the next attempt, the next knock, the next call, the next idea, the next step was the one that would change everything? Hope is the fuel of persistence, and persistence is the secret to victory. Sometimes the darkest nights produce the brightest stars. Just because you can't see the light right now doesn't mean it isn't there. What you seek might be waiting around the next corner. So, my friends, when you feel like giving up, remember this line, don't lose hope. You might be just one step away. Life is a journey of highs and lows. Both are temporary and necessary. When things are going well, we often feel like the journey is smooth, the road is wide, and the sun is shining on us. In such moments, our hearts feel light and everything seems possible. Success, love, health, and happiness feel like natural companions. But life, as we know, is not meant to stay in one season forever. Just as day is followed by night, and in summer is followed by winter, life also moves in cycles of ups and downs. And it is in those downward moments that many people feel like giving up, thinking that the storm will last forever. But just as no season is permanent, neither are our struggles. They too shall pass. The lows are not signs of failure, but signs of growth. Imagine a heart monitor in a hospital. If the line on the screen is flat, it means no life. But if it is moving up and down, that means there is life. Similarly, our journey is supposed to have highs and lows because that's what makes it real and alive. If everything in life remained constantly perfect, we would lose the sense of gratitude and the ability to grow. We would take everything for granted. On the other hand, if everything was always painful, we would lose the will to try. Therefore, both the joyful moments and the challenging ones are necessary to balance our growth and our appreciation of life. When we face low points, we must remind ourselves that they are temporary. Just as clouds may cover the sun, but cannot destroy it, our problems may darken our vision, but they cannot eliminate the possibilities waiting for us. We are not meant to stay stuck forever, and the struggles we face today may be shaping us for a victory tomorrow. Many times, we do not see the purpose of difficulties while going through them, but later when we look back, we realize they were preparing us for something bigger. The lows teach us resilience, patience, and the ability to value our highs. In fact, it is the combination of both, the peaks and the valleys, that creates a meaningful journey. When we climb a mountain, reaching the peak is thrilling, but it is the climb itself that gives us the strength and the story to tell. Life works the same way. The highs are moments to celebrate, and the lows are opportunities to cultivate wisdom. Both are essential teachers on our path, and both remind us that nothing is permanent. Everything passes, and what truly matters is how we keep moving forward through every season. Giving up too soon can make us miss the very breakthrough we've been waiting for. It is often said that success lies just beyond the point where most people stop trying. Many of us start with energy, enthusiasm, and excitement, but as soon as obstacles show up, our determination begins to fade. We look at the long road ahead, the failures behind us, and we begin to think, maybe this isn't meant for me. The sad truth is that so many people quit when they are only a step away from their destination. The door to success may already be unlocked, but they stop knocking right before it opens. Think of a farmer who plants seeds in his field. He waters them, takes care of the soil, removes the weeds, and works under the sun for months. But what if, after several weeks of no visible results, he decides to stop watering, thinking the seeds aren't growing? He walks away, not realizing that the roots were developing underground, preparing for the harvest. In the same way, our efforts often take time to show results. Just because we don't see progress doesn't mean it isn't happening. Many people abandon their dreams at the very moment when things were about to shift in their favor. History is filled with examples of individuals who kept going despite repeated failures. Thomas Edison is remembered for inventing the light bulb, but he is also remembered for failing thousands of times before that. Imagine if he had given up after the 100th attempt or even the 500th. The world might have waited many more years for that breakthrough. The difference between someone who succeeds and someone who doesn't is not intelligence, talent, or luck. It is simply the courage to take one more step when others stop. Giving up too soon is like leaving a treasure hunt just before reaching the final clue. It is like climbing a mountain and turning back when the peak is only minutes away. Life often tests us with challenges to see how badly we want something. And most of the time, the test gets hardest right before the reward appears. This is why the saying goes, the night is darkest just before the dawn. What we need is patience, persistence, and the faith that our hard work is never wasted. Even if success doesn't come immediately, every attempt strengthens us, teaches us, and prepares us for what lies ahead. The key is not to measure progress only by immediate results, but to trust that the process itself is building us. Sometimes, all it takes is one more effort, one more day, one more step, and everything changes. Hope acts as the fuel that keeps persistence alive. Without hope, even the strongest person begins to feel weak. But with hope, even the weakest can gather unimaginable strength. Hope is that inner voice that whispers, try one more time, when everything around us screams, it's over. It is not blind optimism. It is the belief that tomorrow can be better than today, that effort is not wasted, and that storms don't last forever. Just like a car cannot run without fuel, a person cannot continue the long journey of life without hope. It is hope that gives us the courage to move through darkness with the belief that light is waiting on the other side. Think of a sailor lost at sea in the middle of a storm. The waves are high, the winds are strong, and the sky is covered with clouds. What keeps him from giving up? The hope that the storm will pass, the hope that the shore is near, the hope that his effort to hold on will not be in vain. That hope fuels his persistence. Without it, he would surrender to the waves. Life works the same way. When challenges surround us, hope becomes the anchor that prevents us from drowning in despair. Many great achievements in history are born from the womb of hope. When people hoped for freedom, they fought for it. When they hoped for discovery, they explored new lands. When they hoped for healing, they found cures. If there had been no hope, the first step toward any progress would never have been taken. Hope is what allows people to dream of a future that is better than the present. And once hope takes root in the heart, persistence naturally follows because the mind believes that the effort is worthwhile. Even in our personal lives, we can see how hope drives us. A student continues to study despite repeated failures because he hopes one day he will succeed. A patient bears the pain of treatment because he hopes for recovery. A parent sacrifices and works tirelessly because they hope their children will live a better life. This quiet but powerful force gives ordinary people extraordinary endurance. When we lose hope, even small obstacles look like mountains. But when we nurture hope, even mountains look climbable. It is the invisible energy that strengthens us in visible ways. Every day, hope fuels the fire of persistence, and persistence brings us closer to the breakthrough we long for. It doesn't mean the road becomes easy, but it means we now have the energy to keep walking it. And very often, the ones who hold on to hope just a little longer are the ones who discover the treasures life had in store for them. Success is often closer than it appears, even if we can't see it. Many times, people give up because they assume nothing is happening, when in reality, progress is silently unfolding beneath the surface. Just because the results are not visible to our eyes does not mean our efforts are wasted. Life works like a seed planted in the soil. For weeks, the earth looks the same, but beneath the ground, roots are spreading, foundations are forming, and preparation is taking place. The day eventually comes when a green sprout breaks through. But that moment would never arrive without all the invisible growth that happened first. Success often works in the same hidden way. Often, we underestimate how close we are to the finish line. It's like a person climbing a mountain. From the bottom, the peak looks impossibly far, and halfway through, exhaustion sets in. They feel like the climb is endless. But in truth, the peak might be just behind the next bend. If they give up at that moment, they will never know how close they were. Life doesn't always announce how far we have left to go, which is why we must keep moving even when the end isn't visible. Sometimes the hardest battles come right before the breakthrough because life tests our patience and determination. Think of inventors, athletes, or even students. A person might be studying hard for months and feel like they're getting nowhere. But then suddenly, everything clicks and understanding flows. An athlete might train relentlessly and not see results. But then one day, all that hidden effort manifests in victory. Success is not always about sudden leaps. It is the accumulation of countless small steps, and very often the visible result comes after long periods of unseen effort. This is why patience and perseverance are so important. Imagine if a miner abandons his work just a few inches away from striking gold. The thought of, I am too far from success, robs people of what was actually just around the corner. Success is like a locked door, and every effort is like turning the key. Sometimes it takes 10 turns, sometimes it takes 50. But what if you stopped at the 49th? Not knowing the next turn was the one that would open the door. We must learn to trust the process, even when the results are hidden. Just because we cannot measure how close we are doesn't mean we are far away. Every day we put in effort, every challenge we face, and every failure we overcome is bringing us nearer to the outcome we dream of. The truth is, success is often standing just a step away from where most people stop trying, and those who continue are the ones who discover it. Failures are not the end, but stepping stones that guide us forward. Too often, people see failure as a final verdict, a closed chapter that declares, you are not capable. But failure is not a full stop. It is simply a comma in the story of our journey. Every successful person, every great achievement, every inspiring story has been stitched together with the threads of failure. What separates those who rise, those from those who remain stuck, is not the absence of failure, but the willingness to learn from it and move forward. Think of a child learning to walk. The child falls countless times, sometimes with tears, sometimes with frustration. But no one tells the child, walking is not for you. Instead, every fall becomes a lesson, every stumble strengthens the legs, and every failed attempt brings the child one step closer to balance. In the same way, life allows us to fall, not to punish us, but to strengthen us. If a child gave up after the first few falls, none of us would have learned to walk. History offers countless examples. Abraham Lincoln lost elections multiple times, faced personal and professional failures, yet he didn't allow those moments to define him. Instead, he used them as lessons, as preparation, and eventually became one of the most respected leaders in history. Failure wasn't his enemy, it was his teacher. In science, Thomas Edison famously said that he didn't fail thousands of times while creating the light bulb, but rather discovered thousands of ways that didn't work. That shift in perspective transformed failures into stepping stones. Failures refine us. They highlight our weaknesses, challenge our assumptions, and force us to grow. They strip away arrogance and replace it with humility. They sharpen our strategies and give us resilience. Without them, success would not taste as sweet, nor would it hold the same depth of meaning. When we succeed too quickly, we often fail to value it. But when success comes after repeated failures, it becomes more than just an achievement. It becomes a story of perseverance, courage, and determination. The mistake many people make is interpreting failure as a sign to stop rather than a signal to adjust. When a pilot faces turbulence, he doesn't abandon the flight, he adjusts the course and continues. Similarly, failures are not meant to tell us, this is the end, but rather, this way didn't work, try another. Each failure is a signpost pointing us toward a better direction. Life's greatest victories are built upon lessons learned from defeats. If we treat failure as a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block, it transforms from something that breaks us into something that makes us. The truth is, every failure we face is quietly preparing us for the success we are yet to achieve. Challenges strengthen our character and prepare us for greater opportunities. In the moment, difficulties feel like heavy burdens, almost as if life is unfairly testing us. But with time, we begin to see that challenges are not punishments, they are training grounds. Just like fire refines gold and pressure turns coal into diamonds, challenges refine us and bring out strengths we never knew we had. Without them, our character would remain untested, fragile, and unprepared for the bigger responsibilities that life may have in store for us. Think about how muscles grow. When we lift weights, the muscles experience strain, tiny tears occur, and in the recovery process, they rebuild stronger than before. The pain of lifting is actually the very thing that makes growth possible. Similarly, every challenge in life tears us a little, stretches us beyond our comfort zone, and forces us to adapt. When we recover, we realize that we are tougher, wiser, and more resilient than before. If life gave us comfort all the time, we would remain weak and unprepared for greater heights. Challenges are often the hidden blessings that shape leaders, innovators, and change makers. Nelson Mandela, for example, spent 27 years in prison, Yet those years didn't break him. They built his patience, endurance, and inner strength. When he eventually emerged, he was prepared to lead a divided nation toward peace. Without that period of intense struggle, he might not have developed the depth of wisdom that the world came to admire. Challenges prepared him for the role he was destined to play. On a smaller scale, even in our daily lives, challenges are constantly shaping us. A student who struggles with tough subjects learns discipline and persistence. An entrepreneur facing repeated setbacks learns creativity, patience, and problem solving. A parent managing financial struggles learns resilience, sacrifice, and determination. These qualities don't develop when life is easy. They are forged in the heat of difficulties. Sometimes the very challenge we wish away is the one preparing us for the opportunity we've been dreaming of. For instance, a failure in business might feel devastating, but it may be exactly what teaches us the skills to succeed in the next venture. A heartbreak might feel unbearable, but it may cultivate the emotional depth needed to build stronger, healthier relationships in the future. Every challenge carries a hidden gift, and though it often reveals itself only after the storm has passed, what truly matters is how we respond. Some see challenges as walls, stop moving forward, while others see them as stepping stones and climb higher. Life may not give us control over what challenges we face, but it always gives us control over how we choose to face them. And each time we decide to face them with courage instead of fear, our character is strengthened and we move closer to the greater opportunities waiting ahead. Small, consistent efforts compound into remarkable results. We often underestimate the power of small actions because we expect big changes to come from big steps. Yet the truth is, the most extraordinary achievements are built from small, daily acts of persistence. A single drop of water may seem insignificant, but when drops keep falling over time, they carve valleys in rocks. A single step may feel too small to matter, but when taken every day, those steps cover thousands of miles. Life rewards consistency far more than occasional bursts of energy. Think of how a tree grows. It doesn't become tall and mighty overnight. It starts as a tiny seed, watered regularly, nurtured daily, and exposed to sunlight year after year. Slowly, quietly, almost unnoticed, it becomes a giant that provides shade and shelter. The greatness of the tree lies not in sudden growth, but in consistent nourishment. Our lives work in the same way. Success is not built on one big action, but on countless small ones repeated with commitment. Often, people give up because they don't see immediate results. A person may exercise for a week and see no change in the mirror. A student may study diligently for a month and still feel unprepared. An entrepreneur may work tirelessly on a business idea and see little profit at first. But results take time to manifest. Just Because we don't see progress doesn't mean it isn't happening. Every small effort is like adding a brick to a building. One brick looks insignificant, but without it, the building cannot stand. This principle applies in all areas of life. Relationships are strengthened not by grand gestures alone, but by small acts of kindness, care, and presence. Knowledge is gained not by one day of intense study, but by daily learning. Wealth is built not by sudden windfalls, but by consistent saving and investing. The magic lies in compounding, the idea that small, repeated efforts accumulate into something far greater than the sum of their parts. Take the example of learning a musical instrument. Practicing for 10 hours in a single day may not yield as much progress as practicing for 30 minutes daily over several months. Consistency allows skills to sink in, habits to form, and growth to take root. The same principle applies to character building. Becoming patient, disciplined, or kinder doesn't happen in one grand decision. It happens in the countless small choices we make every day. The challenge is that consistency requires faith. We must keep walking even when we don't see the destination. Keep sowing even when the harvest isn't visible. Most people quit because they think their small steps aren't making a difference. But those who persist long enough discover that the invisible accumulation of their small efforts suddenly bursts forth into visible success. The extraordinary is always hidden in the ordinary, waiting to be unlocked by consistency. Many success stories are written by those who endured just a little longer. It is not always the most talented, the most intelligent, or the most resourceful people who achieve greatness. It is often those who simply refuse to quit when others walk away. Endurance is a quiet strength. It doesn't make headlines, but it creates the conditions for breakthroughs. So many people stop at the edge of discovery, not realizing that one more step, one more attempt, one more moment of patience could have transformed their entire story. Consider the story of J.K. Rowling. Before the Harry Potter series became a global phenomenon, her manuscript was rejected by multiple publishers. Most writers would have taken that as a sign to give up, but she endured through rejection after rejection until one publisher finally saw its potential. What if she had stopped after the 10th rejection? The world would never have known her story, and millions of children would have missed the magic that shaped their imaginations. Her success wasn't because she never failed. It was because she endured through failure long enough to find acceptance. Endurance is what allows a marathon runner to reach the finish line. The body aches, the mind whispers to stop, but the heart pushes forward because it believes that every painful step is taking them closer to victory. In life, the same principle applies. The road gets harder near the end, but those who endure just a little longer are the ones who see the view from the mountaintop. The truth is, opportunities often show up when we least expect them, and sometimes they come disguised as hardships. A struggling entrepreneur may feel like every door is closing, but by staying in the game longer than others, they may find the one opening that changes everything. A student preparing for exams may feel exhausted after months of study. But enduring those final hours of preparation may be the difference between passing and failing. Endurance bridges the gap between effort and reward. Many people confuse failure with finality, but often failure is just a sign that we need to hold on a little longer. Success rarely comes to the one who quits. It comes to the one who persists through the storm, even when the sky looks endlessly dark. Endurance is the unseen force that separates those who almost made it from those who did. And history tends to remember not the ones who started the journey, but the ones who stayed on it until the end. Life rewards endurance because it proves commitment. It shows that we value the goal enough to weather discomfort, setbacks, and delays. Sometimes, the difference between a dream realized and a dream abandoned is nothing more than the courage to hold on for one more step, one more day, one more try. The darkest moments of life often precede the brightest victories. Just as the night is at its coldest and blackest right before the sun rises, so too do our lives often feel most difficult just before a breakthrough arrives. When everything seems to be falling apart, when nothing appears to be working, when we feel exhausted and hopeless, it may actually mean that something extraordinary is on its way. Darkness is not the end of the story. It is the stage upon which light prepares to shine the brightest. Think about the process of dawn. At 4 in the morning, the world feels silent, empty, and lifeless. Yet it is in that stillness that the sun begins its journey upward. Within a short while, the skies change, the birds begin to sing, and the warmth returns. If one judged only by the night, one would believe the sun would never rise again. But no matter how long the night, morning is always guaranteed. Life's struggles work the same way. Every painful moment is temporary and is often a sign that change is closer than we think. Consider the story of Colonel Sanders, who faced rejection more than 1,000 times before anyone agreed to use his recipe. Before the world knew Kentucky Fried Chicken, he was living in what looked like failure and despair. Those were his darkest moments, but he endured them, and soon after, the brightness of success arrived. His story is a reminder that sometimes we are closest to victory when circumstances look the most discouraging. The darkest times also shape us in ways the easy moments never could. It is in pain that we discover strength, in loss that we discover resilience, and in despair that we discover faith. When the path is smooth, we rarely stop to reflect on our inner capacities. But when life throws us into darkness, we dig deep and find reserves of courage we never knew existed. Those reserves then become the very foundation upon which our future victories are built. Even in nature, this principle is visible. A seed must be buried in the darkness of the soil before it can sprout toward the light. Without the darkness, there would be no growth. Similarly, a caterpillar dissolves inside the cocoon, surrounded by darkness, before it emerges as a butterfly. The transformation requires a period that looks like the end, but is actually a new beginning. Our darkest moments often hold the seeds of our greatest transformations. They strip us of what is unnecessary, sharpen our focus, and prepare us to value success when it finally arrives. The pain, though heavy in the moment, is often the sign that we are on the edge of something meaningful. And when the breakthrough comes, the brightness of victory makes all the darkness worthwhile. Always remind yourself, your next step could be the one that changes your destiny. Life often tests us with long stretches of effort where nothing seems to happen. And in those times, the temptation to quit grows stronger. But what if the very next attempt, the very next conversation, the very next day was the one that unlocked everything? Too often, people stop right before the turning point. The tragedy is not in failing. The tragedy is in quitting too soon, never knowing how close they truly were to transformation. Think of a person digging a well. They may dig for days, hitting nothing but dry earth and stones. Their back aches, their hands bleed, and discouragement creeps in. But water may be only a few inches away. If they give up now, they walk away thirsty. But if they push just a little further, they strike the spring that was there all along. Life's opportunities often work the same way. The treasure is hidden just beyond the point of exhaustion. History is filled with stories of people who kept moving when it seemed pointless. The Wright brothers faced ridicule and failure repeatedly, but that they took that one more step, that one more experiment, and changed the world with the first successful flight. Imagine if they had stopped just before the breakthrough. The difference between a dream realized and a dream forgotten was simply the courage to take the next step. In our own lives, the principle remains the same. A student might feel defeated after failing multiple exams, but their next attempt could be the one that changes their academic path forever. An entrepreneur may face endless rejections from investors, but the next pitch could connect with the right person and open doors they never imagined. A person searching for meaningful relationships may feel discouraged, but the very next encounter could bring them lifelong companionship. Each next step carries the potential to alter the entire direction of life. The power lies in reminding ourselves of this truth every time we feel weary. When our mind says, "Stop, this is useless," we must counter with, "But what if the next step is the one?" That small shift in perspective can reignite our willpower and keep us moving. It prevents us from surrendering to the illusion that nothing is changing, because in reality, change may be just around the corner. Every great journey is completed one step at a time, and no one ever knows which step will be the decisive one. That uncertainty is what makes persistence so powerful. The next sunrise, the next effort, the next decision may be the one that redefines our destiny. And if we keep walking with this awareness, we ensure that we never abandon the path just before the moment our story was about to change forever.